You've got a really interesting set of life experiences and skills. So do you want to introduce yourself to our audience and tell us what kind of stands out the most to you as part of the process of getting you to this moment in your career?
Oh, yeah, that's a loaded question. Yeah. So, hi, I'm Nida Khurshid, and I am currently one of the leads on the CW's TV show, The Winchesters. It's the prequel to Supernatural that ran for more seasons than I can count on my hands. And we are the prequel. We're set in the 70s, and it's about the epic love story of John and Mary and their two lovely friends, myself, Latika, and our lovely friend Carlos. And how I got to this point, I mean, I have been at this for years. I have worked 1,001 and 55 jobs, random jobs, from hosting at restaurants to being the girl who just is like holding a menu outside asking people to come in, to modeling, to working at various different studios, to self-tape spots. I mean, everything that you can possibly imagine, I've done it, and it's all so worth it because it was for the love and pursuit of this baby that I've always wanted to birth, which is a character, getting to live and breathe in a character's shoes for an extended period of time, like this show has had me do. So it's been lovely. It's been a wild ride, but happy to be here.
That's amazing. I think also from those experiences, it sounds like you learned a lot of humility,
Mm.
which is always good because I think that translates across on the screen because you can actually, you know, relate to other people's experiences. And sometimes when you don't have that wide range of life experiences, it might be harder to do that as an actor.
Yeah, I think one of the greatest pieces of advice I ever got from one of my acting teachers, actually two separate acting teachers, Jonathan Stanley and Jonathan Stanley and Jeremiah Comey. I was about to tongue twist that. They both on separate occasions told me, they're like, okay, you want to be an actor? Get out there and live. Like, you got to have life experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, fall on your feet 55 times in the same day if you have to. But that's going to make you so much more relatable on screen to every character you play, because people don't want to look at perfectionism. That's not art. Like, nothing is perfect, first of all. And I think a lot of people, especially in Hollywood, and I've been victim of this too. We're striving to be perfect. We're striving to, like, nail that audition, nail that snatched ponytail, nail whatever it is. But it's like, no, that's not the reality of life. And now my personal goal is just to be as raw and as authentic as possible through my everyday life, but also through the characters I play, and getting out there and living, and you know eh, having the idea of it's okay to fall back multiple times, as long as you're being like, okay, but tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to take that like one step forward, even if I have to go back and work 10 different side jobs. It's okay, because guess what, like, my end goal is still the same. My end goal to story tell, and to hopefully be a mirror for many people, but especially young South Asian girls.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really powerful, that kind of undeterred focus, because as we know, unfortunately, I'm also South Asian. My family is from Chennai, and
Mhm.
it's you're well outside of the big three: engineering, lawyering, and doctoring. So,
Yes.
what do you think? Do you feel that like those personas are ever in conflict, like your kind of your home culture, and then the like, tell us about your family's experience of coming to the US and all of that.
So I was born in Lahore, Pakistan, and my mom and I moved when I was fairly young. I was 3 when we came to the States, and we moved to a really, really teeny tiny like farm town, I like to call it, in the middle of nowhere in Texas. Um, and that really shaped a lot of who I am today because of the struggles I had to overcome with figuring out my identity and my place as a brown woman in a white man's Western world. And I think a lot of my childhood, I was, you know, I remember so many times when I would try to really whitewash myself and erase the part of the world I came from because there were no examples of people who looked like me on television. So I thought, okay, well, that's not cool then to be looking like me, smelling like me when my mom would pack delicious curry and Pakistani food in my lunch boxes, but I'd be like, ooh, no, it's not cool to smell that and eat that at lunch. So I mean, and I specifically remember one day I stole like my mom had this like cream colored eyeshadow. And I remember taking it out of her drawer one day and taking it to school with me. And after PE class, I remember taking the eyeshadow and kind of putting it like all over my face because I'm like, shit, like maybe if I just like looked a little whiter, I would feel like I would fit in more. And I'm sure all of us have stories like that where we have tried to um, make ourselves more palatable to this Western world. And yeah,
Well,
that was a lot of my childhood trying to fit in. And then when I started contemplating what I actually want to do with my life around senior year, my mom was she was strict about, of course, like go to college, study, but she never forced me, thank God, to, pursue like specifically like doctor, lawyer, teacher, whatever it was going to be. And I always thought I wanted to do journalism because that was going to be my outlet to at least be in front of the camera. And then I quickly realized that that wasn't going to be the route for me. And I started modeling, and that's when I had to have the big confrontation with my mom. And I remember writing her like a 10-page letter because that was how I was good at expressing my emotions, was always through writing. And I wrote her a letter. I'm like, hi, this is what I want to do. Are you cool with it? And it took a lot of conversations between her and I, and it took a lot of backlash from the South Asian community, to be honest. I went from not fitting in into the farm town world to then not fitting in within my own community, um, which sucked. But at the end of the day, like now where I'm at, I'm realizing that I need to stop trying to make myself fit in any boxed community. No, I can just be myself, Nida Khurshid, exactly who I am with all my likes, my dislikes. And I don't need to appeal to anyone except for my own sort of, I guess, moral compass. And if, as long as like my mom is proud of me at the end of the day, and I'm proud of myself, then that's all that matters. That was a very long-winded answer, and I probably got off track a
no,
billion
it was amazing.
times.
I mean, there's a couple things that kind of just strike me as like one, no offense, like you're not even that brown, right? So, but I can, but that whole experience is relative, right? So in Texas, small prairie town Texas, you were browner, let's say. So I can totally relate, and I'm sure so many of our audience members can, because I grew up in a small town in Florida. Not quite, I think, where you were, but I think it's different than what maybe people of our backgrounds who grew up in like Washington, D.C. or New York or even LA would have experienced. And to be so different, like when I was growing up, I was so different that everybody thought it was exotic. So it was a good thing, but that's not good either, to be like so different and special that like,
Word exotic, it's like, oh, like
yeah.
it's different, it's cool. I want to know a little bit more about it, but like I don't want to like marry it, or I don't want to, get it's, oh yeah, layers to that word as well.
Yeah. So tell us now a little bit about you were modeling and then auditioning as well while you were doing the sandwich board advertising and all of that. And what was it like the first time that you got to set? What was that like for you?
Oh my God. The first time I got to set as a model or into the acting
In
world?
acting or either, whichever.
Um, so well, okay, I'll start with modeling because I think that's also something to be said is when I first started modeling, you brought up how I don't even like look that like traditionally brown, which is true. I think a lot of people when they look at me, they're like, oh, a term that was thrown around a lot in the industry a few years back was ethnically ambiguous.
Oh gosh.
And that was a term.
Benetton? Is that what they were, is that what they meant by that? You could be a Benetton girl, like on the Benetton ads, you know?
Little bit of everything. Like she's just exotic. You don't know where she's from, which is such an issue now thinking about it because I'm like, no, we should be proud to say that we hired a Pakistani American woman for this ad or for this TV show. But a few years back it was the ethnically ambiguous, just brown enough to be not white, essentially, to check the box of we filled our quota. And a comment I got a lot was, okay, Nida, we want you to thin out your eyebrows, get rid of your wax your arm hair, wax your back hair, all your peach fuzz, wax a lot of stuff on me, thin your hair. We need I mean, now my hair has just fallen straight throughout the years, but back then it used to be like big, like beautiful bushy brown girl hair, and everything that made me more Pakistani was the thing that they wanted to erase a little bit more. Now, thankfully, I think the industry is changing so much than what it was, but that was also another thing where I was like, oh shit, like okay, they want me, but they only want me if I'm like whitewashing myself a little bit,
They, yeah,
which
they want a specific version
is,
of you. They have a me that's not me, if that makes sense, right? They have a construct in their mind of who you are. And hey,
yeah.
good for you for hanging on to those eyebrows because they came back. Big eyebrows are back. So
They came back, thank God, because I did say yes to all of those things, and I think it just shows, in my opinion, that the fear people have about people who they don't know a lot about, which is why I would say now to anyone who's listening, like even more so embrace the things that make you different and even more so embrace your roots, because when we do that, I think people learn about a different part of the world through us simply existing exactly how we are. They gain so much knowledge, and knowledge is the thing. If people don't have knowledge, then they have fear of something. If I don't know what an apple is, I'm always going to eat grapes my entire life. But then I'm missing out on this beautiful apple just because I fear the apple right now. I'm a sucker for analogies.
oh, I do too.
um,
I love that. Yeah, you're a natural storyteller. That's how we traffic in metaphor. Well, yeah. So these eyebrows, poor things. This is as much as I could get after all those strip mall waxes in my teens, and then I had a hole for a long time. And beauty is cultural, and so those women, they were from an aesthetic where like thinner the better. So yeah, and I think every immigrant child has had a letter moment. So my letter
Mm.
was not 10 pages, but I had to write a letter when I went to college as well. So
No.
yeah,
And it was,
yeah, these things are universal. And like you said, in the specificity, we get to the universal, right? So when we know what it's like to be, a brown woman with bushy eyebrows living in Texas, small town Texas, then anyone who's ever felt ostracized or different or like they didn't fit in can attach to that, right? Can relate to that. Because it's so specific, somehow it connects to the universal. It's such a mystery how that happens. So let's
Yeah.
talk now about your show. What's it like to be one of the leads on a CW show?
Um, it was really huge and a very proud moment for me because, please everyone correct me if I'm wrong. But I do believe that I am the first Pakistani female lead to ever be on the CW network. Um, and when I realized that, when a couple of people came to me and told me that, I was like, oh, yeah, okay. This is a very proud moment, but at the same time, I did feel the weight a little bit of carrying that because of the importance behind that, because I want myself and many other people who are Pakistanis to be able to have that as well, and to be, I think, the first of anything. There's a beautiful weight that comes with that, and I have to continuously like go back and just remind myself, like every time I feel like I need to represent myself in a specific way, I always have to go back to just be you. Just be 100% authentically you, and that's Pakistani enough. That's American enough. That's Nida enough. Just existing exactly how you are, without having to sort of, wave the metaphoric like I'm Pakistani flag around in people's faces, but instead being like, yeah, I'm Pakistani. It's a beautiful part of who I am, and there's also many other facets of who I am, and I can stand here proudly and play Latika Dar on the Winchesters as a Pakistani woman, and hopefully that'll be enough for young girls to relate to, if I'm as long as I'm just authentically existing as me. Um, and the Winchesters has been amazing. I mean, our wonderful writer and showrunner Robbie Thompson was so collaborative with me in the story that we both wanted to tell of Lata, and I got to infuse a little bit of like my own storytelling within her um, DNA, and it was a wonderful experience. And I remember one of my favorite moments on the show was getting to speak Urdu. In episode 3, I had a phone call with my character's parents, and I got to speak Urdu, and I'm like, wow, this has to go down in one of the coolest moments of my life, being able to like hear that sort of like and action, and I'm just speaking Urdu on a Hollywood production. It was really special, definitely really special.
That's absolutely fantastic, and we need more of that. Even just watching Miss Marvel, and when they go back home to Pakistan, and even with my kids watching that, like I actually wrote a part of my dissertation was on the partition of India, and the creation of Pakistan, and all of the end of colonialism on
Mm,
the Indian subcontinent, which had a very long tail. But
mm,
watching it with my boys, who were 9 and um 12 at the time, and to be like, hey, this, and they're like, wait, did this happen? I was like, yes, it was a big historic moment, and to just be seeing that as enter into pop culture
mm.
is really exciting. So where can people find you on Instagram, on like Twitter? What's
Yeah, they can find me on Instagram only. I don't have Twitter or TikTok or anything else. Maybe one day I will get those, when we announce season 2. I will maybe get a Twitter and TikTok. But you can find me on Instagram. My handle is Nida Khurshid _.
okay, perfect. And what's coming up for you then, Nida? Hopefully you're hoping for season 2. I assume you're auditioning for other things as well. And what else is in the creative
In the
chalkboard?
creative
Yeah.
chalkboard, yes. I am in the process of finishing a cookbook and poetry book.
Oh wow. Did you say cookbook?
And yes, and it's without giving too much away, it's a lot of my art that I have created from different mediums. And it's going to be like a coffee table style book that I am hoping, fingers and toes and limbs crossed, that it will be out around Thanksgiving or so.
Okay, perfect.
So
Yeah.
I can talk more about it in a little bit. But I'm really, really excited for everyone to see that, because I think it shows like a softer side of me that I would really um, love for the world to see of me.
Yeah.
So
Well, and then you're going to be a multi hyphenate, right? She acts, she cooks, she writes poetry. Hey.
your words, not mine, and thank you. I will accept the compliment. Thank you.